What's up, everybody out there in YouTube land? Wrath2501 here. Alright, got a video from Popcross Studios. I've been wanting to do this one for a while. This is what if famous horror characters were in other genres. Of course, by Popcross Studios. And this one looked really interesting, and some people have recommended it, so I've wanted to do it for a while now. I just never got around to doing it. But let's get started here. Alright, so let's go.
Times on this channel, I've done episodes where I take characters from one thing
That
and
Western
put them into
Avatar.
a bunch of different genres.
I don't know what kind of genre it's supposed to be. That's supposed to be like a
But
space age one or something?
I've
I don't
ever
know.
liked a prompt for one of those episodes better than what I'm doing today. Because today I'm going to specifically take famous, iconic
Hope that
horror
doesn't get
movies
copyrighted.
and put them into genres
Or that.
other than horror.
Or that. Or that.
I'm going to rewrite their stories to fit
Oh,
those genres
Ash.
better and
Oh.
obviously redesign them.
Alien,
Funny enough,
Xenomorph.
the reason I was prompted to make this episode was actually because, well, I mean, for one, because it's, you know, October, Halloween month.
Yeah, that's when he
doing
made this.
A bunch of episodes around some spookier topics.
That's cool.
Some horror movie
That's
kinds
pretty
of
badass.
characters. But also because I had this idea for Jason Voorhees if he was in a high school coming-of-age drama.
Okay, pausing that right there. Actually, there are some comics out there about that of Jason. You know, in a teenage kind of story. It's actually they actually have an interesting crossover between. Actually, there's a couple of crossovers. There's one with him and Michael Myers, and there's one with Jason and Carrie, where actually Carrie takes Jason to the dance, where she wound up killing everybody in the movie. If you ever saw the movie? So yeah, those are worth checking out. Anyway, let's continue on.
It's a
Go.
weird premise, but I really like the story for it. So that's in this episode, but I'll sandwich it between the other two stories because more often than not, people are coming to this channel for things more along the lines of, what if a xenomorph was a fantasy dragon? So yeah, that's today's video. You want to hit the like button?
I think there are some dragons that actually kind of fit that motif. Acid-spitting blind dragons.
Video before you hit like. I mean, really, you can do whatever you want, but you already knew that. But anyway, we can start in with our first drawing, which is a xenomorph if it was in a fantasy movie. Let's go.
I think a xenomorph, rather than being a dragon, would be more like an eldritch horror, like the nameless things that gnaw at the roots of the mountain from Lord of the Rings.
Of barbarian cyclopses that had left them all tired and eager to return to their loved ones. So in an attempt to get home faster, the band decided to try their might at the treacherous hike through the Acheron Mountains. A significant shortcut, but one that few attempted for the difficulty of the climb. It was windy and rainy and steep, but the group had seen worse. Elena Lou Ripos said little on the journey, but she was always listening.
Elena
Listening
Ripos.
for any approaching marauders or beasts or rock slides or anything else that could be hiding away in the largely unexplored mountains. And eventually, she would hear something that she didn't expect. At a moment when the wind had slowed, from the mouth of a nearby cave, Elena could hear what seemed like a quiet whimpering. Without a second thought, she marched into the cave, hand on the hilt of her blade. The whimpering grew louder and louder, and eventually she found, tucked away in a tiny crevice in the wall, a little girl. Elena tried to bring the girl out, but she wouldn't move. She asked where the girl's family was, but the girl didn't
Oh, that's
speak.
not fire. That's
She simply
acid
raised
spit.
a hand and pointed past Elena. She followed the
Elena.
gesture to see the mangled bodies of two explorers next to what looked like the remains of large, shattered eggs. Then she noticed that there were far more eggs, but these ones all unhatched. Soon her band of knights trailed in to see the scene, and they started investigating the eggs, trying to decipher what kind of creatures lay inside that could have attacked these travelers. But soon, another started to crack open. The knights all drew their swords as out from the egg sprung a sleek, black dragon cub with no eyes. They were all unsure how to react. Nobody had seen a dragon around these parts for centuries. One overconfident knight began to lurch forward, but the instant he did, the beast reeled back and fired a stream of green fluid at him. He started to shriek as the liquid melted through his armor, then eventually through him. The dragon fled deeper
Acid
into the
spit.
cave as the knights all faced the horror of knowing they'd just found a nest of acid dragons. One of the most deadly and vile species of beasts imaginable. They bred quickly, with a single mother able to lay hundreds of eggs, and no less than a dozen fully grown of these beasts could unleash unspeakable chaos on the region. The knights began to slash through every egg they could find, and Elena managed to talk the little girl, who eventually revealed her name to be Newt, into coming out and staying
Nice.
close by. This was a mission they'd need far more knights to succeed at, so the band fled from the cave to go inform their queen of the trouble. But the heat from their torches and the presence of so many bodies in the caves had activated the hatching process for far more of these dragons. While still small, these beasts were incredible hunters and followed the knights down the already treacherous mountains. As they fought for their lives, the knights would only see more and more what a danger these dragons were. Along with their acid, the dragons also had sharp blades on the ends of their tails and wings. Their dark hides concealed them in the cloudy
Actually, I think there
atmosphere
is a
until they were
classification of
right on
xenomorph that
the
actually kind of looks like
making it
this.
impossible to anticipate attacks. The group whittled down from a dozen to 10 to 6 until finally Elena and Newt were the only two who remained and escaped. By the end of the trek, Elena was burned and scarred and exhausted, but she knew her journey was far from over. More and more of the acid dragons would continue to be born until the mother was slain and the nest burned. There was no time to rest. Elena informed her queen of the trouble and gathered a larger band of knights, but she still felt it wasn't enough. So then Elena went to the town artificer, the nearest thing her village had to a wizard, to see if he had anything to aid her.
Nuke it from
His work
orbit.
was largely made to improve agricultural tasks, but one piece of equipment he built would have to do. It was a large yellow suit of armor that enhanced the strength and durability of a
Really? The
mirror,
power loader?
intended for
Awesome.
construction and quicker loading of carts and chariots.
Oh, just a little fun fact. Some guys actually built a real working power loader from the movie Aliens. It's actually pretty damn awesome. You might want to look at that. Just look up real working power loader. It's awesome.
But it could be used as a perfect asset for battling the mother dragon. Elena donned the suit, sharpened her blade, and returned to the mountain with her new band, ready to put an end to the dragon menace or die trying.
That's actually not bad. Pretty good.
Jason had always been quiet and shy. He'd been born with a disorder that had altered the structure of his face, enlarging and lowering one of his eyes and giving him a drooping lip. This, paired with his stutter, had meant he'd been picked on through much of his early schooling and had always tried to hide his face.
In the
his
comics, it said
glasses.
Jason
He kept
communicates
to
with
himself,
sign language.
always burying
He's
his
mute.
head in hoodies and made few friends even into high school. But it was hard to not stick out as a teen standing at 6'5" and being built like a fridge. This of
A
course
fridge?
got the attention of the hockey coach at school, who convinced the quiet lug to try out for the team, the Laketown Crystals. He was a bit
Laketown
lumbering, so
Crystals.
skating wasn't his strong suit, but he thrived in net. He had surprisingly fast reflexes, and that, paired with his stature, made him a fantastic goalie. And to Jason's surprise, he actually enjoyed the game. He insisted on wearing an old-school hockey mask to cover up more of his face, which was unusual but didn't faze his coach because of how well he did in the position. 5 games
Damn right.
into the season, he hadn't let a single goal into the net. He was
Nice.
thriving, and
5
people
games?
cheered him
Perfect.
on. After that 5th game, he was on his way back to the change room, still clad in his mask, and he was stopped by a girl from another school who'd been there for the game, named Alice. She congratulated him on the game, and almost wholly unrealized by Jason, she was flirting with him a little bit. But she'd also wanted him to take off his mask to see his face. He quickly made up a lie about it being stuck and rushed away from the conversation. But Alice kept coming back to his games, and kept coming to talk to him after the games. He'd always make excuses for why he couldn't take off his mask, because he was
Yeah.
scared if she saw his face, she wouldn't want to see him again. Eventually,
Aw.
Jason told his mother about the girl, and his mom was thrilled. She told Jason that he had to try talking to the girl without his mask on, that if she didn't accept him for who he was, she wasn't worth his time. She even joked that if Alice rejected Jason, Mrs. Voorhees would kill her. Jason, that was a little over the top, but she was at least right about one thing. He had to be brave.
She did kill her.
At the next game, Alice once more
Do
came
not
to talk
screw
to Jason,
with
and
Mrs.
right
Voorhees.
as she came up to him, he removed his mask. She seemed slightly surprised at first, but was friendly enough. They chatted just as always, and Jason was thrilled. He even managed to stammer his way through asking for her number. She wrote one down,
Aww.
and soon after that, they parted ways. He was so excited that he didn't even think about putting his mask back on as he went about the rest of his day. And to his surprise, his teammates didn't treat him any differently. They were all friendly and cheered him on as always for his incredible goaltending that was actually leading them to the championships.
Yeah,
With his
imagine
new building
it's amazing how
confidence,
people's
he
attitudes
even went to
changes
school
when
the
you're
next day
useful.
without a hood on. Once again, nobody treated him any differently. A few people had given him second looks, but Jason had hardly noticed. For once, he felt like he could just be himself without hiding away. All this finally gave him the drive to actually call Alice and ask her out. He dialed the
Aww.
number she gave, got an answer that wasn't Alice. He wasn't sure if she'd written it down wrong, but Jason would have to ask at the next game. Except, she didn't show up. That night, Jason was devastated. His ultimate fear had come true. She'd seen his face and totally lost interest. And he cried himself to sleep.
Aw.
But yet, the next morning, when he woke up, he didn't feel as bad as he thought he would. Sure, at first it had really hurt, but Alice rejecting him didn't change the fact that everyone else had been treating Jason just like a normal person. Just because one
There you
person
go.
had been
Oh,
turned
this version
away
of
by
Jason
the
has
visitors
hair.
didn't mean he had to go back to hiding away in his hoods and masks. The next day, he returned to school still unhooded, and everyone was still nice. His hockey team ended up winning the whole season, and Jason received the MVP award, the first time a goalie had ever gotten the award at his school.
Aw.
Sure, there were times again in life when Jason would feel hurt by people's reactions to him, but seeing that there were plenty of people who would respect and accept him for who he was allowed Jason to accept himself. One heartbreaking event had somehow led to him becoming the best version of himself and going on to lead a full and happy life.
See, a lot of people like these versions of Jason. You know, the more wholesome characters. I don't know why, but still.
Just jumping in to say that hopefully by the time you're watching this, my Xenomorph dragon will be up on the
Is it?
Teespring store as a poster, along with most of the other dragons I've drawn on this channel. Sometimes Teespring
He really
will
likes
take stuff
dragons.
down, and sometimes won't give me much of an explanation, so a few of my posters have disappeared. But hopefully, this one will be up there, and it'll be all good to get.
If he likes dragons so much, he should do some, like, maybe Disney characters or other female cartoon characters as dragon maids. Just saying. I got my Dragon Maid deck for Yu-Gi-Oh! It's awesome. So I'm just really into that right now. So
Yeah, if anybody wants it as a poster. Should be linked and easily accessible underneath
Spider
this
Dragon.
video and under pretty much all my
Spider
videos.
Dragon.
But anyway,
Spider
back
Dragon
into the final
does
story.
whatever a
Or,
Spider
well,
Dragon
also,
does.
you know, subscribe if you like stuff like this because I put out videos kind of like this twice a week or so. But yeah, anyway, now on to our final drawing. And
Oh, there
story,
is another
which
one.
is Ash from The Evil Dead if he was in steampunk.
Ash,
Williams
Steampunk
and
Ash.
his
That's
friends
awesome.
were escaping the bustle of New Yorkshire for the weekend to an old family cabin out in the woods. It had been owned by Ash's reclusive aunt, who nobody in the family had actually liked. She was a crotchety old inventor who cared more about machines than people. When she died, she left nothing to Ash's family save for her old cabin. But that was enough for Ash to at least have a good time with his friends. They reached the cabin and all went in to find their rooms. The shack was an old bronze box of a place, shambled together with bizarre steam machines in every single corner. It was unsettling, but still an isolated place for some rowdy teens to have a fun weekend in peace. Or so they thought. While going through some of the dusty old books on the wall, Ash
I'm
found
cutting all this
one
from the video if I
massive
remember.
one that sat out farther from the wall than the others. As he tried to pull it out, there was a clicking sound that suddenly shot open a doorway in the floor that had been hidden under a carpet. Ash and his friends went down to look around. At first, all they saw were mechanical limbs, like pieces of destroyed mechs, unlike anything Ash had seen before. It was like a ruined old steam workshop. But soon they all realized that they weren't alone down there. Out from the shadows came a lumbering, decaying robot who looked at the lot and seemed to scan them. As it finished in a clanking, unsettling voice, it said, "You are not Master?" A blade sprung from its arm as it charged at the group, flailing wildly. And that was only the first of the night's problems. The group escaped with one of the friends badly injured, and they all tried to seal the door. But the robot activated something in the basement that set the whole cabin reeling into lockdown. Steel and bronze doors came down from the walls, sealing every exit. They couldn't escape, and one by one, the various machines in the cabin began to come alive and attack the group. From below, they could hear the robot repeating, "Must not steal Master's creations." The group got picked off one by one as the cabin separated them and tormented them with machines previously unimaginable to Ash. Eventually, the one from the basement escaped and got to Ash, who tried to defend himself with a frying pan. But the duel ended in his arm being sliced clean off. But Ash wasn't a quitter. He got himself back into the basement and scrambled around for anything that could help. He managed to find an old blunderbuss along with an arm, on the end of which was a rotating blade. With his limited mechanical knowledge,
That's actually
he
kinda
grafted
cool
the
looking.
arm where his own had once been, and with his two weapons at hand,
Instead of his hand,
emerged
it's his
from
whole
the
arm.
basement. He fought like a man possessed, hacking and blasting through every machine that came his way. But every time Ash thought he was done, more and more mechs would crawl out from a corner of the cabin. He eventually realized he couldn't beat them all and focused on escaping. The combination of his two weapons slowly helped him hack through the doors to freedom. He got to his car and fled, but he knew that while he was safe now, this wasn't the end. As he drove off, he could see the bots also fleeing the scene, going off into the world. Once he recovered from that night, it would still be his duty to go off and find those bots before they could kill anyone else.
The
Or
Necronomicon.
he'd forget about it and just move on. He hadn't really decided yet.
That's actually kind of cool. I like how it replaces his whole arm and not just his hand.
Truly.
Of course,
Another
he had to put
successful
that in there.
episode.
You gotta do that when you're doing
Some
Ash.
kind of other things. Admittedly, there was going to be 4 stories for this episode originally, but I kind of was having a hard time writing the last one, and then also Ash's stupid hand took a million years longer than I thought it would for some reason. But maybe I'll have to do another episode of this at some point. But also, that's a good thing to note for other aspiring artists out there. I've been a professional artist for 8 years now, and it still
Damn.
happens sometimes where I'll be drawing something and I just have to draw it
Over
a
and
million
over and
times 'cause
over
it's
and
not
over
coming
again.
together properly. No matter what stage you're at in your art journey, getting frustrated and having a hard time drawing something is always going to be a thing that happens occasionally. But anyway, if you enjoyed this genre swap kind of episode, as I mentioned, I've got a few other ones. I did Spider-Man characters if they're in other genres.
Pirates?
I did Avatar The Last Airbender characters
What
if
the
they're
hell?
in other genres. I plan on doing a few more of these. I want to do a My Hero Academia one as well. But also give me more horror movie suggestions in the comments below. I've got a few ideas that I think I'm going to let people vote on, but I'd love to get other people's suggestions as well. Oh, finally for today, if anybody wants to participate in this, one of our awesome moderators of the Popcross community Discord, Kurt, created a Poptober drawing prompt list for this month.
Poptober?
Where each day you draw something that's a commonly drawn thing on the Popcross Studios channel. Looks like a lot of fun, and I'm going to be following the
That's probably
hashtag
over, but
Poptober on
why not?
Instagram and going through the Discord
Be
Poptober
right now it'd be
channel
Poptober
to see what people
2022.
are drawing and posting this month based on that prompt list. That was a fun idea, Kurt. Thanks. But that's all for today. I'm Christian Pearson. This has been Popcross Studios, home of the Nerdy Start videos on
Okay.
YouTube. Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and I will see you all in the next episode on Friday. I ended that sentence as if there was more, but that was kind of the end. So, yeah. Anyway, goodbye, everyone.
Okay, so those are pretty cool. I like a lot of the stories he does. Those are pretty cool. I just not too into the dragon thing because he does everything with dragons. I've gone through his videos, and just looking at this thing right there, you got horror icons as dragons, X-Men as dragons. I mean, everything is dragons with this guy. I know he likes them, but jeez. Ooh, animated characters as Mortal Kombat. Ooh, that's something that looks interesting. Might try that one. Anyway, So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe. Of course, definitely click on the link to the original down in the description. Get down to Popcross Studios, like the original, sub to him over there. This is good stuff. Some of the stuff I would love to see as comics. And I will see you guys next time. Tune in every day for new content. Bye bye.